Imagine that you and your children have experienced violence at the hands of the person you love most in the world. You have lived years in isolation, not being able to communicate with your family of origin, not being able to work, and not being able to have friendships outside of your partner. It's not always bad, but lately, it's been getting worse. You worry about your children, what they see, what will happen to them, and how they are learning to cope. After this most recent incidence of violence, you decide to reach out for help. You learn about the YWCA Center for Safety and Empowerment, and while your partner is at work one day, you get up the courage to meet with an advocate. For many survivors, the first time contacting us can be intimidating and scary. At the YWCA Center for Safety and Empowerment, our staff greets clients with compassion. Their first response to our clients is what sets the tone for how they experience our services. Our staff connects survivors with our agency's safe and supportive advocates who believe the survivors and validate their experiences. These advocates and their services are funded through the Kansas Department for Children and Families Domestic Violence Sexual Assault Grant, the Protection from Abuse Funds, and the United Way of Greater Topeka. As you meet with your advocate, you receive crisis intervention services, establish a safety plan, and learn about safe, affordable housing options and legal resources, and you are empowered to make decisions based on what you want for your life and for your children. You leave the meeting with the advocate knowing that you have options, that you can reach out to an advocate at any time, day or night, and that you are not alone. For a moment in time, you feel as if a huge weight has been lifted off of your shoulders. Several months later, you contact the YWCA Center for Safety and Empowerment through the 24-hour hotline. This time, your partner threatened you with a weapon, and you know in your heart that they meant every word of what they said. You don't want to believe they are capable of hurting you in this way, but the look on their face really scared you. You know that you and your children need to get away for a while, someplace safe where they won't be able to find you. You ask if there is any way you can stay at the shelter. For many survivors, the idea of completely uprooting their lives to reside temporarily at a shelter with a limited number of belongings is truly the last resort. However, for some survivors, this is the only option they have to maintain their safety. Thanks to the support of the Family Violence Prevention Services Act, Kansas State General Fund, and the Victims of Crime Act, our emergency shelter offers a place of refuge to the families we serve. Our shelter advocates understand that moving out of their home and into a shelter is a traumatic experience. These advocates offer survivor-centered supportive counseling, case management, and crisis intervention services to adult and child survivors. Many times, survivors of domestic violence experience symptoms of their trauma, such as flashbacks, nightmares, and difficulty sleeping. Having shelter staff available 24/7 means survivors have the support that allows them to process their trauma and begin their journey of healing. Now, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the agency has had to limit its capacity to ensure that residents are able to socially distance while residing within the shelter. Currently, the shelter is full. Therefore, after determining that you qualify for shelter services, the hotline advocate tells you that they can provide you with safe and alternative housing options. Thanks to the Hearth Emergency Solutions Grant COVID funding allocated through the City of Topeka, you and your children have been approved to stay in an apartment complex that has been converted to a safe shelter. You cry tears of relief knowing that you are in a safe place free from violence. Upon entering the apartment, you immediately survey your surroundings. The apartment has been furnished, and there is food stocked in the refrigerator and cabinets. The advocate asks if there is anything else you or your children need and provides you with contact information for accessing any additional personal care items, food, and toiletries during your stay. She also informs you that someone will be checking in with you daily to ensure that your needs are being met, your safety concerns are addressed, and that you have received the necessary community referrals to support you. After you get the kids to bed, you finally lay down your head on your pillow and truly rest for the first time in years. As you close your eyes, you think to yourself, this is what hope feels like. YWCA Center for Safety and Empowerment We understand that the path to healing for survivors can take years. It may involve multiple shelter stays and countless hours of supportive services. However, we also know that every shelter stay and every rent payment we make, every written email, every volunteer hour, every ride to court, every child welfare meeting, every counseling session, and every single hotline call helps survivors experience rights that we all hold dear. The right to safety within our own homes and within our own relationships.